Hi there. This is obviously part 2 of the Wild Mind book review, subtitled A Field Guide to the Human Psyche by Bill Plotkin. And we'll just dive right in here. This is a quote from Albert Einstein that is really appropriate and captures the essence of Bill's book. A human being is part of the whole, called by us the universe, limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a prison, restricting us to our personal desires and to our affection for a few persons close to us. Our task must be for all humanity and the whole of nature in its beauty. So this is very much the thrust of Bill's new book, Wild Mind, this being the third book in really what is looking to be and proving to be a series. In this video I want to really address the map that Bill presents us with, what he calls a nature-based map of the human psyche. And he's working here with what he calls holing. Holing is the foundation for true healing. And it reminds me that as I see this tree here that has bursted open the boulder out of which it once began to root itself into as a seed, that life wants to happen. And the key for us is, how do we turn towards our wholeness? And Bill would say that it already resides within. It awaits cultivation. And certainly in this day and age, we're in desperate need of it. So here's a quick look at one of two maps, this being the Intrapersonal Map, or view of the self and its sub-personalities, as he calls them. And we're going to spend more time sort of looking at this second map, the interpersonal view of the self and sub-personalities. And I'm going to jump right on into my notes on this. So this is what he would call the horizontal plane of the psyche. And notice that it's a view of the self. It's not a view of the psyche. So the self, Bill grants 4 aspects to, and also noting that there could well be many others, but this is the development stage of the map at this time. And with this, his language is very precise, and I found sometimes confusing, though I'll address that a little bit more in a moment. So hopefully this might help you as you dive into the book, if you decide to do that. So there are 4 directions to the self on this horizontal plane, of course, north, south, east, and west, also applicable to the 4 seasons and also to the 4 times of the day. Each direction has a characteristic way of knowing, loving, and being or expressing. These are sort of archetypal directions, with, for example, the east with the rising of the sun representing the innocent or the sage or the sacred fool and the trickster, while the setting of the sun is related to the magician, wanderer, and the soul guide, the psychopomp. And this is the outside of the circle. On the inside of the circle, Bill has placed what he calls the sub-personalities, and these would be the undeveloped or immature or misdeveloped, we might say, even sides and aspects to these directions. For example, the orphans relating to the southern side, which can play out as conformists and victims, rebels, princesses, and so on. But this is part of what makes up the 3D, if you will, perspective. There's 3D, three-dimensional perspective of the nature-based map of the psyche, of which there are 7 directions. The self contains 4 of these directions, which we've just looked at here briefly. The other directions are, there is a vertical axis to the map of the psyche, in which resides the soul and spirit. In the center of this horizontal plane, in the vertical axis resides the ego. Now, Bill uses the word ego, as he does other words, very precisely. It has, in his model of the world, he is not about fighting against the ego. The ego has a very healthy place, which he calls the 3D ego. This is the ego that has access, actually, to all four aspects of the self, as well as to soul and spirit, and it's required for us to navigate our way through the world. And this is in contrast, again, to the immature ego, and so on. But in addition to the vertical axes of the psyche, in which soul and spirit are found, there is a vertical axis to the horizontal map. And this is where I got lost in some of the language of the book, and this might perhaps help you. And this is this north-south axis, which he relates to the transpersonal or spiritual dimensions of the self. And on the horizontal plane of the horizontal map, there is the intra and intrapersonal aspects to this view of the self. And to continue briefly with this, Bill, the book is rich with exercises and practices for holding. And it's a great integration of eco and depth psychology. The book does have an academic feel to it. It is not as accessible, I found, as his first book, Soulcraft, which was just a non-stop page turner. And this one I found myself rereading multiple times at times to try and really understand what he was saying. And yet it is changed the way I look at myself. It's changed the way that I enter my office. And I expect those implications to continue to work in my personal and professional life. Again, I would invite you, if you're interested, to visit the wildmindbook.com site for additional free resources. And if you are appreciative of the memes represented by this book and want to move towards your own wholeness and encourage others to do the same, if you're a lover of nature involved in human development, then give this little video a like and spread the meme. All right. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.